Oh, we got another wrap for you guys here. This is a 2008 BMW 530xi wagon. And it's gonna be orange camo. Since these aren't super common, I'll go over a couple of the things of disassembling it just in case there's anybody out there that needs it. First thing is removing the door handles. It's actually pretty simple. Basically, you open up the doors and then you have two rubber plugs here. So once you have the rubber plugs out, there's going to be a T25 Torx in the top and T25 Torx in the bottom. The bottom one, I'll try to get in here, is right there. And the top one, you can't see because the door handle's down. If you lift the door handle out, it brings it right in line with this hole. Otherwise, it's kind of offset back here. And when you pull the door handle out, it brings it forward so you can actually access it. So in order to get this top one out, you actually have to lift the door handle out slightly in order to access it. One thing to note too is there's not much space to get a screwdriver in there. So if you have something like this where it's just universal, you can put different bits in there and everything, it's not going to fit. So you actually need just a dedicated T25 or a Torx set screwdrivers. Just like that. You actually have to unthread it quite a ways in order to get this to pop out, but once you do, this pops right out. Basically what you're doing is you're spinning a little gear that holds this in place, and it spins it out of the way, so then you can just pull this out. And now the front, you just kind of wiggle it down. It's a little pin there, and then this, and it just slides up. In order to get it out, you pull it down. And then the door handle comes off. And then since you already loosened up this bottom one, this is now loose. And how you get this one out now is there's a little cap here. Pull that off, and now you have your T20. And all you have to do with these ones is just loosen them up a little bit, because this slides and can just pop out. And that's it. It's as simple as that. The rears are a little tougher than the fronts because this top hole, you have to kind of angle down in order to get to the socket. So if you have a flashlight, that's really the only way you're gonna figure out where it is. The front ones, it's pretty much just straight in. All right, the next part of disassembly for the doors is the trim, this chrome trim. Pressure, it's clamped down onto this, and then you just pry up on it, and be careful. You probably want to use like some kind of plastic pry tool just so you're not putting so much force on the end of it, it could kink in the center and then it's ruined. So you want to try to slowly work your way down and pop it off. Another tip, anytime you're doing stuff like this, especially if you're taking the door handles off, just roll the windows down just in case, because take door handle off, shut the door, you're not really going to be able to open it, especially if it locks for some reason, you're not going to be able to get in the car. As you can see, I'm lifting up on this, so we'll get something to pry that up. Just use a flathead and a microfiber towel or something soft that you can put in here and then pry up. I found it easier on this window to start at the front of the rear door and pry up, just because you have a lot more area here, whereas this one, it kind of dips in right here. So at least on this one, other ones it may just pop right off. So pried up on the front, shimmied my way down, and now comes off. Now I'll go ahead and remove this bottom trim piece just because it's simple and it'll make wrapping just a little bit easier, and it only takes 2 seconds to get off. So basically this one, like the other ones, unlike the other ones, it doesn't pull up to come off, it pulls straight back. So you just pry on a little bit, and then there's these metal clips behind there that hold it in place. You just kind of work your way around, just go slow, be gentle, and it just pops right off. Another nice thing about these cars is all this trim, because it's a full frame door, it's not just open right here, you have no trim on the bottom side up here. So you don't have to disassemble anything. When you go to wrap this, you just slap it right on. Obviously, if this was like a red car and we were wrapping it blue, or it was a yellow car and we were wrapping it black, everything, you want to just take everything off. Take all the trim off, because you're going to see the original color of the car if you don't. If you wrap to an edge and it pulls back even slightly, you're going to see it. That's why those cars cost a little bit more, because they take so much more effort and time to wrap. Whereas a black car, the price can be cheaper because it makes the installer's life a lot easier, regardless of what color you're doing. Okay, so we're just gonna start working our way down, just taking anything off that we're going to need to in order to wrap the full side. We're gonna do it all in one piece because it is a pattern and we want the pattern to line up perfectly. If you were to cut a chunk out of that for the one door and cut another chunk out for the other door, it's gonna be like blocky. You're gonna see the separation and the difference in the pattern. It's not gonna look right. So we're gonna lay the whole side in one piece. So next thing to remove are the side marker lights, and these ones you just push back from the front of it and pull out. It's got a little spring clip here, and what you're basically doing is just putting pressure on that to release this front side. And then these clips do feel pretty brittle, so you want to be careful with those. So now I'm just wiping it down with alcohol just to get most of the dirt and everything else off. The car was washed before it came in, so it's not terrible, but it came in when there was snow on the ground. So just wiping this down, and then we will clay bar it, wipe it down again, and then apply the vinyl. So I pretty much just laid out the full side with the vinyl, and even seeing it just like this, like this car is gonna stand out. You're not gonna be able to miss this, and it's gonna look sick. I'm excited. So what I'm basically gonna do now is I'm just gonna cut out a section where the windows are, since nothing there gets wrapped. But I'm only going to do a small section just because I want to prevent myself from accidentally cutting too much away. So I'll do a small section there, and then that'll free up the top portion. They'll go up and over and down and meet up with the fender. And then this bottom portion will be like the bottom portion of the rear corner, the doors, and the front fender going across. So I need to trim out quite a bit of material here, just because it's a lot easier to work with if you have less, especially when you're pulling like the backing paper away and it doesn't want to fold over and stick to itself. So I'll go ahead, I'll get this all trimmed out, and then we will start pulling the backing paper away and applying it to the car. Another thing, I'm going to be blacking out all the chrome trim. And if you ever wondered how to take off this piece, I'm not going to take off the door ones because they're just flat, they're simple. But these ones, it's easiest to start opening up the passenger side door, pry up on this a little bit and get like a flat blade screwdriver in here, and then you'll see these tabs, and if you just pull on it while pushing up on this inside edge right here, you can see that there's a slight crease there, and that's what actually holds into this rubber trim right here. So if you push up on that while trying to pull out, it'll pop out. Just be really careful because this is thin aluminum and you will bend it if you pry too hard. So just be really careful, really gentle. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of those that you have to pry up. But that will be how you remove this rear chrome trim. This one pulls straight out, these ones pull straight up. There's no screws or anything else holding them in. They're just held in by pressure. The customer that's getting the wrap, these are the original headlights. As you can see, the coating on it is chipping off. They're old, they're used, they're tired. So the factory headlights in this are HID, and I'm not 100% sure what brand or what is in the low beam in this anyways. I'm not sure if there's just a regular halogen bulb in there or if there's LEDs or anything else. I will try to figure out what brand these are and put that either in the title or the description. But they look really nice, actually. The design of them is really nice. They're not like super over the top and crazy, and they definitely look much better than the factory ones. So we'll get these in, hopefully everything works. I was not the one that ordered these, so hopefully they got the exact ones that they need. But it looks like this has the same connection as what the factory takes. So hopefully that'll be simple. Okay, once you have the T30s out and then the 8mm out, then the headlight is disconnected. The only thing really holding it in place is the wire harness. There's going to be 2 plugs on the outside edge by this turn signal. In order to really access those, you're going to need to get the headlight out a little bit. So if I just slide the headlight forward, that will give me enough room to get my hand in there. Okay, so the plugs look like this. When it's plugged in, it's going to be facing like this. And what you do is slide this outer portion down and that unlocks it, and then you just wiggle it until this pops out. This bottom one that's underneath it has a clip right here. You just push on that to release it. It's going to be facing this way. So then you just snake your hand in there, squeeze that out, and then wiggle it, and then this will pop out, and then the headlight is completely free. And then figure out a good way to get it out. Okay, so because the roof rack is kind of a pain to remove, I'm going to try to do the roof without removing it. Now, in order to get the vinyl onto the roof and able to be able to lay it on, since technically the piece of vinyl has to be larger than the amount of space I have available, what I'm going to try to do is I peeled back the vinyl partially on some of the backing paper, cut it away so I can get it on the roof and get it laid, and then attempt to pull the backing paper off. What I need to do is pull this side, flip this over, and bring it so I have some excess here. So now that I know that I'm gonna have enough to at least cover everything over here, now I can bring the vinyl down and try to lay it down over here, and then I'll pull the backing paper away this way, and then we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a pain, but I wanna do everything that I can not to have to drop the headliner and try to remove the roof rack, so we'll see. Okay, so I was a bit nervous doing it this way, but so far I got probably 3/4 of it done and very minimal issues. Just kind of a pain having to work around everything, and then with the vinyl and the backing paper and just everything else, but I was able to do it. Started pulling this part away, but everything on this side is wrapped up to the edges anyways. Wrapped around the antenna, and now I just have this little strip to do still. Kind of tedious, a little bit more time consuming, but still getting a good finish out of it and saving a hell of a lot more time than I would if I had to pull the headliner. So I'll check back in as soon as I get this done and cut out. Alright, so I got the roof done. Definitely wasn't the easiest doing it with the roof rack on there, but got it done. It's looking good. Lined up this so that the shark fin landed in black. That way I don't have to wrap it. Next trick is going to be doing the bumpers with about a foot of space, but doing it with help will definitely make it a lot easier. And on the bright side, get used to doing wraps like this. Once I get more space or bigger shop or bigger garage to do this in, it's just going to be that much easier. Well, door handles back on. And then here's the difference between the chrome trim and then having it blacked out. Still got one more piece to do here, and then I need to wrap these angled pieces and then the top ones. But I got the bottom portion all done for the passenger side. Okay, so the new headlights that I'm actually putting into this car for the customer are actually really nice. Quality looks decent. The way they look, they actually look awesome, especially compared to the factory ones. And these are the DNA motoring ones, so just kind of your typical eBay, Amazon brand. They're made in Taiwan. But I've seen some like really cheap ones like Spec D and everything, a lot of brands that people go with because they're so cheap, and they definitely look better than factory ones. But these, they just look really nice. And I already put one side in, it's hooked up. I still need to mount it and everything, but the factory wires plugged right in. They also come with these extra mounts that fit the new headlights that mount to the inside here. The ones from the stock headlights have a much larger base. As you can see, that's pretty shallow, so it doesn't actually fit in there. And it comes with a couple of little screws That way you can mount it and it's solid. Also, the factory headlights on this vehicle, customer told me that they're the dynamic headlights. I don't know what BMW actually calls them, but when you turn, the headlights will actually turn with you. Now with these new ones, I wouldn't think that they will, just because it's not some $1,000 set of headlights. But we'll get them installed, we'll test it out and see if it does. If it does, that's awesome. Although it is another area where they could potentially fail sometime down the road, especially being a cheaper brand. But from just first impressions, I would recommend these. They look awesome. Well, just tested out the headlights. Both of them are working. Now if I shut the car off, here they are, just running lights, but this car has daytime running lights, so the low beams would normally be on with these, but with the vehicle off and the running lights on, they actually look really sick. Alright, car is officially wrapped. Those were the last two chrome pieces that I needed to black out. Now there's no more chrome on the vehicle, and I think we can officially call this one done.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving.
Alright guys, so the wrap is done. We got it out in the daylight, so you can actually see it now. And if I do say so myself, it looks pretty damn good. They're happy with it.
Very happy with it. Good. Very pleased.
Got the new headlights. Now they just need to get matching wheels and put it on bags. We got 3 T&K wraps vehicles here.
Now it's growing on me.
Yeah.
So I love the color though. I love it.
I've always liked camo.
Yeah, yeah, and it looks good. It was black, but now it just looks better.
It definitely stands out.
It does.
And being the only car that looks anything like this up here, other than like your typical spray paint, throw leaves on it, spray paint over it, kind of camo up here.
Yeah.
All looks good.
I think we're the only